For ages, Rome and China were mighty empires that governed a significant part of the ancient world. They had advanced governments, formidable armies, and controlled vast territories. It's no wonder that their wealth and the needs of their growing populations led to the creation of the renowned Silk Road, a prosperous trade route connecting their lands. Over centuries, the intricate trade network incorporating both land and sea routes facilitated an unparalleled exchange of goods between Rome and China. The Roman elites, including the imperial family, highly valued Chinese silk, a prominent item in this trade. Despite this extensive trade, the two empires had only limited awareness of each other, making only a few attempts at direct contact. The vast distances, challenging terrain, and a formidable and unfriendly state situated in the heart of the Silk Road thwarted their efforts to establish effective communication. This hindrance had significant implications for world history, as successful contact could have reshaped its course. In the early summer of 53 BCE, Marcus Licinius Crassus, a powerful figure in Rome as consul triumvir and governor of Syria, led his legions to cross the Euphrates and enter Parthian territory. Despite being the wealthiest man in Rome, Crassus sought a military triumph that had so far eluded him. Unfortunately, his venture into the east brought not glory, but humiliation and death. At the Battle of Carrhae, deadly Parthian horse archers massacred the Roman legions. Crassus himself was captured and later killed. His undignified end marked the beginning of a tumultuous period for the Roman Republic, plunging it into a bloody civil war, dismantling the old order, and paving the way for the imperial era. Crassus's ill-fated expedition, however, inadvertently exposed the Romans to something that would profoundly reshape their society. In the moments before the final attack, the Parthian heavy cavalry unveiled their brilliant banners, sparking panic among the Roman ranks. This event led to a disastrous rout, marking one of the worst defeats in Roman history. According to historian Florus, the dazzling gold-embroidered banners were the Romans' first contact with a gauze-like exotic fabric silk. Despite its ominous introduction, silk would soon become the most sought-after item in the Roman Empire and serve as the foundation for one of history's most renowned trade routes, the Silk Road. It became the commodity that forged a connection between two ancient superpowers, Rome and China. A century prior to the Roman setback at Carrhae, the Han Dynasty in the Far East solidified its power. After a decade of relentless campaigns in 119 BCE, the Han successfully defeated the troublesome Xiongnu nomads, who had hindered their westward expansion. China's triumph lay in its formidable cavalry, relying on prized heavenly horses from the Fergana region, modern-day Uzbekistan. With the nomadic threat removed, China gained control of the crucial Gansu corridor and the transcontinental route leading to the Fergana Valley, through the Pamir and Hindu Kush mountain passes, extending further to Persia and the Mediterranean coast, the legendary Silk Road. Simultaneously, Rome was in a phase of rapid expansion. The elimination of the last Hellenistic kingdoms placed Rome in command of the eastern Mediterranean and Egypt, with their considerable wealth. With decades of civil wars concluded, Emperor Augustus, the sole ruler of the Roman Empire, ushered in an era of unprecedented peace and prosperity. This period boosted the spending power of Rome's growing population, leading both elites and ordinary citizens to clamor for exotic goods. The Silk Road emerged as the solution. To circumvent Parthian middlemen on the overland Silk Road, Roman emperors actively promoted the creation of a lucrative maritime route to India. This Indian Ocean trade would remain the primary communication route between Rome and China until the loss of Roman Egypt in the mid-7th century CE. By the 1st century CE, silk had become an exceedingly coveted luxury among the Roman aristocracy, leading to an unsuccessful attempt by the Senate to prohibit men from wearing it. Roman moralists voiced concerns about the revealing nature of fine silks worn by women, with figures like Pliny the Elder criticizing the scale and value of the trade in Eastern luxuries, attributing it to the depletion of Rome's coffers. Despite the growing trade along the Silk Road, establishing closer connections faced hurdles due to vast distances, challenging terrains, and a formidable obstacle in the form of the hostile Parthian Empire situated in the middle of the route. Moreover, trade routes were not direct. Instead, intermediaries from Central Asia, particularly the Sogdians, along with the Parthians, and merchants from Roman client states like Palmyra and Petra, played the role of middlemen. Consequently, while goods continually traversed between Rome and China, the empires remained only vaguely aware of each other's existence. The bulk of Roman knowledge about China stemmed from distant trade ventures and was often shrouded in rumors. According to Roman accounts, the Seres, or Silk people, were believed to harvest silk, sericum, from forests located in a remote territory on the far edge of Asia. However, the true identity of the Seres remains unclear. While the Roman historian Florus details a visit from numerous embassies, including the Seres, to the court of Emperor Augustus, no corresponding account exists on the Chinese side. This raises the question, could the Seres have been one of the Central Asian peoples who served as intermediaries, facilitating the trade of exotic goods along the Silk Road? In the mid-1st century CE, under the leadership of General Ban Chao, Han forces launched an invasion into the Tarim kingdoms south of Fergana, thereby securing control over the oases of the Taklamakan Desert, a crucial segment of the Silk Road. This move not only expanded imperial authority, but also brought the Chinese army to the northeastern border of an old Roman adversary, Parthia. By this time, the Chinese were aware of Rome's existence, likely gleaned from interactions with merchants traversing the Silk Road. According to Han reports, the Roman Empire, known to the Chinese as Da Qin, Great China, was a formidable and powerful state. In 97 CE, General Bao Chan dispatched Ambassador Gan Ying to gather more information about this distant western realm. The Parthian Empire harbored fears of direct contact between Rome and China, dreading the potential formation of an alliance. This fear was well-founded, given that Gan Ying's embassy aimed to challenge the Parthian monopoly on the Silk Road. The Chinese delegation, navigating covertly through Parthian territory, eventually reached the Persian Gulf. From there, they could have followed the Euphrates north to the Roman border in Syria in just a few weeks. However, Chinese reports suggested that Rome lay northwest of the Indian Ocean, leading Gan Ying to plan a 3-month voyage around Arabia to reach Roman Egypt. Regrettably, the Han envoy never made it to the emperor's court. Discouraged by the tales of adverse weather and treacherous sailing conditions to Egypt, coupled with unwillingness to pay more than initially agreed upon, Gan Ying abandoned his mission. Nevertheless, he returned with additional details about the countries west of China, offering more insights into the Roman Empire. Several years following the unsuccessful Chinese mission, in 116 CE, Emperor Trajan led his legions to the shores of the Persian Gulf. Unfortunately, by this time, the Chinese had already retreated, their control over Tarim territories having crumbled. Trajan's reign was short-lived, and his successor Hadrian withdrew the Roman army from Mesopotamia, focusing on consolidating the empire's frontier. Nevertheless, Roman curiosity about the Far East persisted, with Roman explorers making journeys to China via the Silk Road. According to geographer Ptolemy, in the early 2nd century, a group of Romans ventured to Ceres, the land of silk, reaching the great city of Serica. It raises the intriguing question, could this city be the Han capital Luoyang? Chinese records also mention the arrival of foreign representatives, sought by Ban Chao in 100 BCE. If these were the same Romans, then Gan Ying's expedition might not have been in vain after all. The turning point in the Sino-Roman relationship occurred in the mid-2nd century. Despite the establishment of the Indian Ocean trade route, Roman ships faced an insurmountable obstacle, the Malay Peninsula, preventing further progress eastward. Moreover, strict adherence to sailing timetables dictated by seasonal winds restricted exploration beyond the Bay of Bengal. Noteworthy ancient texts, such as the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea and Ptolemy's Geography, composed in the 1st and 2nd centuries respectively, make reference to the people of Tinai, or Sinai. These individuals inhabited the distant Silk Land, situated east of the Malay Peninsula. Finally, in 166 CE, during the rule of Marcus Aurelius, a Roman ship successfully navigated around the Malay Peninsula, and reached the port of Cattigara, likely identified as the ancient town of Oc Eo in South Vietnam. From there, Han soldiers escorted the Romans to the imperial court. The nature of these Romans, whether traders pursuing their own interests or official envoys of the Roman emperor, is uncertain. However, the Han authorities harbored no doubts about the legitimacy of these representatives, recognizing that traders carried the protection of Rome and could represent the interests of the Roman state in this distant kingdom. After more than a century of relying on intermediaries for Silk Road trade, the two empires now had a direct conduit for communication. The Silk Road, beyond being a trade route, served as a conduit for the exchange of people and ideas. Unfortunately, this well-developed network also facilitated the movement of more perilous, invisible stowaways. Upon their return, the Roman envoys brought news of diplomatic contacts with China, only to find their homeland ravaged by smallpox. This deadly pandemic struck both empires, taking a heavy toll on overcrowded towns and claiming between a tenth to a third of the population. Furthermore, the pestilence weakened their defenses, allowing barbarian invaders to make deep inroads into the imperial heartland. Despite these challenges, both China and Rome eventually recovered, reclaiming control and maintaining dominance in their respective parts of the world in the ensuing century. Rome's fascination with the Far East, however, proved to be short-lived. The ascent of the formidable and adversarial Sassanid Empire in the 4th century CE, coupled with increased military expenditures, led to a decline in Silk Road trade, both on land and sea. The subsequent collapse of the Roman West intensified the significance of the eastern frontier. Constantinople, the new imperial capital and a major trade hub, emerged as the focal point of the revitalized Roman Empire. Under Emperor Justinian, the empire succeeded in restoring its dominance over the Mediterranean. Notably, Justinian's reign marked a pivotal moment in history as the Romans secured their own source of silk production. 2 monks clandestinely transported silkworm eggs to Constantinople, heralding a new chapter in the Roman Empire's economic ventures. However, this period of prosperity was short-lived. In 541 CE, a devastating plague swept through the empire, claiming countless lives, crippling the economy, and shattering dreams of further conquests. The Silk Road, serving as a conduit for trade and tragedy, facilitated the swift eastward spread of the plague, traversing Sassanid Persia and reaching China. In the mid-7th century, the eastern frontier erupted in chaos as the Roman and Persian armies engaged in a brutal conflict. Known as the Last War of Antiquity, this protracted and bloody struggle, fueled by conflicting religions and ideologies, proved catastrophic for both empires. The devastation left them vulnerable, opening the door for the armies of Islam to seize control. While the Roman Empire, though severely wounded, managed to endure the onslaught, it lost its affluent eastern provinces to the forces of Islam. With this conquest, the Caliphate now held dominion over the Silk Road, accomplishing what Rome had failed to achieve, reaching the border of Tang China. The Arabs ushered in a new golden age along the Silk Road, marking a significant chapter in history, but that indeed is another story.